Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I went through my requests and new videos page on my blog. I'll put a link below if you want to check it out. I had a big long list of tutorials and I thought I'd go through today and try to get a bunch done. And this first one was requested by Jackie Blodgett, and she wanted me to show how to paint a peony facing head on, and that is a flower. And I decided that I'm going to do a close-up here, and I'm going to start just by putting like a little circle in the middle with pink, and then just set with yellow, and then just setting my pencil aside. Then I'm using watercolor pencils, by the way. And now I'm going to take I'm using my Albrecht drawer pencils. Use whatever you have. Now I'm using Carmine Rose. The number is 82,000-124. But honestly, use what you have. And I'm just going to draw these petals. The photo, I'll put a link to this. It's a photo by Lillian Bell from Paint My Photo, and I've painted another one of her photos too. She's awfully talented. So you can check that out and you can see the exact reference photo that I am working from. So just look below the video in the video description for a link to that. And I'll also put a link to my watercolor pencil tutorials in case you want to do more watercolor pencil work, because it's a lot of fun. These pencils are new to me. I just bought them, I would say about a month ago, and I've only used them a couple of times. They were kind of pricey, I have to admit, but I've wanted them for years, so I decided to finally splurge and go for them. So the petals, there's lots of like really closely packed petals, and you know, really, they're wiggly lines. Honestly, look, I'm just putting wiggly lines kind of around that first yellow circle. There's not really much to worry about here. Trust me, it'll look like a flower when we're done. And if it doesn't, so what? You can, you know, paint something on top of it. It can be a great card background if you're a card maker. I am painting on a watercolor card, actually. I like them for a couple of reasons. For one, I think it's cheaper to buy them already made as cards. I get mine, well, I'll go between Dick Blick, Cheap Joe's, and Jerry's Artorama, and I'll just look and see who has the best price when I'm doing an order for like other supplies, and I just throw a box in when I'm running low. And usually can get me up to a coupon code discount or free shipping or something. So that's something I always have in my save for later cart. I just really like them. Now I'm going to end my flower here on the side, and it's composed very well. It's really easy because I'm working from a beautiful photograph, and I'll tell you that right now. If I was not working from a beautiful photograph, this would be way harder. And what I'm going to do on the outside of my flower here, I'm just going to scribble in some of this. It looks like sap green, but I'm sure it has a fancy name. It's called olive green yellowish. That is 175. I realize the first number they give you is just the, I guess the number of the line. I'm just filling in these areas to the outside. I have a very large painting I did many years ago hanging in my living room, and it's a huge, it's like 22 by 30 of a peony, really close up. I just really love these flowers. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with this darker pinkish brownish red. It's burnt carmine, which is almost like a purple brown or pink red purple brown color, and I'm going into some of these deeper areas. And again, you know, pull up that photo on your computer while you're watching, or maybe you watch me do it all the way through, and then, you know, you could print off a copy of that photo, or you could just kind of switch between the tutorial and that photograph. That would make it pretty easy to follow along, I think. And if you print it off, you know, you could, you know, if you're a beginner, I don't think there's anything wrong with tracing. If, like, you're having a real hard time, you're painting for your enjoyment, I don't think there's a darn thing wrong with that. Whatever gets you to put your brush to paper, I think is just fine. And you're going to grow. And you know what the thing is, with tracing, it helps you learn how to draw. And people will poo-poo it, but it will help you learn how to draw, because instead of drawing what you think you'll see, you'll draw what's actually there. So don't worry about that at all. You go right ahead and you trace it if you want to. You have my permission. Now I'm realizing there's like a cooler cast to this half of the flower, and I can see that in my photograph, and if you're following along you can see that too. I am going to go ahead and I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to get a lighter, a more purpley pink, and I'm going to add some of the colors to these outer petals with that because of the way the light's hitting it. I am keeping a limited number. I went whole hog, folks. I bought the entire set of the Albrecht Dürer pencils, the 120 set. It was a little crazy. I had to think about it for a couple of days. I had like it in my basket. I kept taking it out and putting it in my basket. It was really comical. But I'm glad I did. But still, look, I'm still only using, you know, 6 colors here. So even though you have the whole box of crayons, you don't have to use them all, you know. And I'm just bringing a few hints of that color around just so it doesn't, like, it's not stark going from one color to the other. All right. Beautiful day. I hope the weekend is nice. I love a beautiful fall weekend in Maine. We have all the trees are so nice right now. I've been really enjoying my morning walks with the dog, seeing all the lovely leaves. Maybe get that canoe in the water this weekend. I have been missing my canoeing. Got very used to it on vacation, and I haven't had our canoe out since. All right, now I'm going to use this color here, which is really, I would say, the most true color to this flower, and this is Rose Carmine. It is color number 124, if you're following along with the same pencils I have, and if you're not, that's okay. Something I think we're also going to want to have is our credit card scraper or toothpick or something that we can make thin scratchy lines on our paper with. Now there's all these little kind of like a phalange things in the middle that are yellow. I'm not going to put those on yet because I will do those on wet paper with this pencil. So just that's why I have that brighter yellow there. It's going to be coming around, but just not yet. And actually, while what I think I want to do right now is liquefy that green on the outside, right? Because I can still be adding color on the inside while that's drying. I just feel like I would like to have that liquefied so that it doesn't bleed into the red when I start to add water to that. Oh, I love these colors. So somebody was asking me the other day, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name or your screen name. She was asking if, since the Albrecht Dürer pencils feel very creamy, which they do, if it would be better, and she already had Inktense pencils, if it would be better to get Prismacolors, which is what she was planning to do, I think, or to just get the Albrecht Dürer pencils, because then she could use them for both. And I honestly have to say, if you already have the Inktense, I don't think there's any need to invest in these. And I don't think I would use these in place of Prismacolors because they're not as opaque, and I think they would wear down. They're really soft, and I think you'd wear them down, and they're also 2 or 3 times the price of Prismacolors. So I would definitely keep these separate. I would, you know, I'd get Prismas, and if you have Inktense already, I think you're all set. But that's my opinion. I just thought maybe somebody else may have that exact same question burning on their minds, like, well, I have Inktense, but boy, these look awesome. Maybe I need to go buy these too. You don't need to go buy these two. They're fantastic pencils, but if you already have Inktense, I don't think you would find that much benefit on having these as well, and they are twice the price, so I did get a heck of a deal on it, otherwise I wouldn't have bought them. Okay, so now I think I want to work on the center of this flower first. And the brush I'm using, you could use any small flat or any small round brush. I'm using this Princeton Cat's Tongue number 6. It's kind of like the best of both worlds because it will come to a point like a round brush, but it's flat where it comes into the ferrule, so I get both of those abilities. And since this is a small painting, it's only 5 by 7, I can do everything I need to with this. Alright, so I've liquefied that little bit of yellow in the middle. And did I tell you what color that was? You got to keep on me. I don't remember. That's 185. That's what we had sketched that in with. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to kind of liquefy this, the other color in around here. Now I need some kind of intense color. I need first these yellow little phalange bits. So that I'm going right in on the wet paper, and look how vivid that is when I go on the wet paper. Now when I do this, what's going to happen is if I brush over this with water, because I'm actually, when the paper's wet, you tend to alter it more than when it's dry. So if I'm coloring on this wet paper and I try to brush over this later with water, these lines are going to remain because not only am I depositing a lot of color because the water is making the paint come off the pencil, I am also kind of scribing the paper, like when we scrape it with our credit card scraper. So it's kind of a perfect storm there, and it's not going to really move too much if I ever brushed over that. I don't intend on doing that, but in case I want to. Now I'm going to go in here with this burnt carmine, and I'm going to add some shadows kind of in and around some of those, because the petals are that light pink. Even though we see 3 different shades of pink, they're still that same color. Like if you were to pull a petal out of there and like hold it flat on the table, it would be the same color. So that's why I'm using this for my shadow. It's just a more intense color. And I'm going right in there with that on that paper. Now if I don't want quite a sharp contrast, like quite a sharp line, I can wet my brush and I can pick up the paint right from the lead. See, just like that. And that way I can kind of paint full strength without having it scribe the paper. Now I did hear that once these are very much like ink tints, that once they dry they're permanent. I haven't really given that a test out, but that's what I hear about these. They are beautiful pencils. I would say either or. You'd be fine going with ink tints or with the Albrecht Durer. I'm not sure about on fabric. I know you can use ink tints on fabric because I've done it. I'm not sure about these being permanent on fabric or not. So if anybody knows, if you would leave a comment below the video and let us know, that would be really helpful. I would appreciate that. Alright, so now I'm going to kind of approach this one petal at a time, and I'm going to work, I'm not going to go right up next to a wet petal. I'm going to kind of skip one, so I think I'll go with this one right over here. And just wetting this. Wouldn't you believe my paper towels are across the room? Why? How did they get over there? I always need my paper towels when I'm watercoloring. Why? How? I don't know. It's chaos. I just finally got my my daughter's horse Halloween costume made, and there'll be a video up on that. I'm really excited because I'm collaborating with a really fantastic YouTuber on this this video. But anyway, I finally got the big horse out of my studio, and it was like having a horse, or at least a small pony in my studio. It was kind of crazy. I was tripping over that thing left and right. I'm surprised it survived. While this is wet, I'm just going to use my credit card scraper, which is the best tool in the world and free, which is awesome. Can't think of a better way to use a credit card either. I'm just going to scrape up some veins because peonies are very subtle, but they do have a very definite papery texture. And you can kind of see as the pigment settles into those lines, it gets darker all on its own. It's like, hello watercolor, paint this painting for me, will you? I don't want to do any work. And that's what happens. It's really quite awesome. This brush is this is fairly new as well, so it is taking a little bit for me to get used to, but I was finding, like with my last painting I did with these watercolor pencils, it was the geranium. I just felt like I was either getting too much water, I was getting too much pigment. I just felt like I was just not jiving with the pencils that well, and I think this brush just works really well with them. For me, anyway. You know, use what you have, absolutely, but if you are looking for a brush, I think this one is a nice one for this. It's not very expensive. I think it was maybe $3 or $4 on Blick. So I've dropped some of that color in, and I kind of like letting it bloom around like that, like, because I love watercolor paint. I'm much more comfortable with that than watercolor pencils, but I just felt like using these today, and I just thought that sometimes I'll look at a picture that I want to paint and it will kind of tell me what medium it would look best in. I just was really inspired to try my watercolor pencils with this. Now I am going to skip over to this one, even though it is close to those two I just painted, because I think I can control myself and not get completely muddled into the other colors. And I'm not getting this petal as wet either. I'm just using the residual moisture on my brush to kind of liquefy that. Alright, just going right around. So I've been getting a lot of really awesome feedback from you guys. I was on the hot seat with Daryl Eves yesterday. It will be yesterday. This is going up the day after that. I was just thinking, am I going to post this tomorrow? I'm posting this today. I'm not ahead of the game. Sometimes I'm ahead of the game a couple days. Not this week. Nope. I've been like lucky to get things done on time, let alone ahead of anything. So anyways, I was on the hot seat with him yesterday, and so people were giving advice for my channel, and some people were saying, people that weren't normal followers were saying that, oh, you got to edit out the unnecessary parts, you know, add some music, do this, and my you know, tried and true were going, no, don't edit anything out, don't add music, I won't be able to hear you. So I thought that was really really awesome that you guys like this. I think that some of the viewers that came over from Daryl Eves' website are probably, I don't know, young kids, like punk kids, saying, you gotta edit that out. Don't you know, we need to relax, we're painting. Oh, right, now I did lose some crispness there. So what I'm going to do is go in and add it back in right on that wet paper. See how you can really get a definite line there? But I did get some really helpful tips and advice. One piece of advice that I really, it's just one of those things you don't think of. This girl said, you know, you ought to, your blog and your YouTube channel don't really look alike. And then there's a little disconnect. And I was thinking, you know, you're right. I've been meaning to do something different with the blog header. I love my header on my YouTube channel with all the ribbony bubble wands that I had made. Like, that would make I could use that header over there. That's a good idea. Thank you, lady. Thank you, helpful tip lady. So I am starting to see, that's why I actually said don't do two next to each other, because they're kind of bleeding together. So we're just going to mosey on over here. Do what I say, not what I do, people. Don't you know? Don't you know? I'm going to break my own rules, but I totally expect you to follow them. Now, there's no rules. It's art. It's meant to be fun. And, you know, you can make a mess and call it art, and it can still be fun. And if you don't really like it when it's all done, you could say, I had fun making that. And this is going to line the parakeet's gauge. And I think I will actually throw in some lines there. I think that will help this little situation we have going over here. The whole situation needs a little help. We're gonna scrape. When in doubt, put some veins, scratch it with a credit card. I need a little bit more color in there, so I'm going to use a combination because I'm in the cooler side, the cooler lighting of that flower. And I'm going to add a little bit of this. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let it flit around in there. And I want some of that more purpley pink that's my cooler shade. I have the habit of putting too much color in. I know that, so I'm hopefully not going to do that today. Get that in there. Ah, there we go. Okay, I think I can leave that be. And let's see, we'll skip over to another petal. I can't believe the time is flying for me. I don't know about you. I might have to slap this together on the computer because it's like, ooh, we're 16 minutes in and I'm not done. My camera only records for 20 minutes. That's the whole reason I try to get it done in 20 minutes, because my camera shuts off after that. It starts a new file. That's the one thing I would change. I have a Samsung HMX90, F90, and I just love this little camera. It wasn't expensive. It does a great job. It lets you pause in the middle of a, so if I'm doing something and I need to go across the room to, I don't know, get my paper towels, I can pause it and I can come back and pause it again when I'm back, and that, you know, saves me some editing time. But boy, I wish it would record for longer than 20 minutes. So if you Samsung people are watching, fat chance I know, could you do something about that? That'd be great. That'd be super. Okay, I'm going again right next, because these really don't need too much detail right now. I can kind of just liquefy these guys. Oh, the reason I taped this on all four sides is because when I remove the tape, I'm gonna have a really pretty frame, so you'll see that when I'm all done. So I kind of wanted that lovely little frame on there. There we go. I feel like I've been speeding up too many, like I've done a few videos recently where I've been like, oh, it's taking too long, I'm gonna speed it up. But I think this one's all right as is with a live narration, because I feel like I can kind of help, especially some of the beginners out there that might need a little bit more guidance when they're approaching a picture. So, so that's why this one is not sped up and this one's just going real time. If you found the narration helpful, please let me know. And you know, if this is like, Lindsay, I know how to do this, I like watching you paint, but that's just too much, you can actually change the speed of your video, and that could kind of save you a little bit of time if you want to watch this super fast. That way everyone can kind of get what they need. I think that I'm thinking, and maybe I'm wrong, because quite frankly I'm not very technical, but I think there might be a way that you can actually speed it up, and you can, I don't know how it does it, but I think they can pitch shift it or something, so I think it might skip words here and there, but you can actually get some of the narration. So you might play around with that. I think it's in your YouTube settings. I'm not 100% sure. There might be a little button to press on the YouTube player to do that. Daryl would know. Daryl Eaves would know how to do that. I think he has a video on it actually. If I could find it, I'll put a link below and you can go check it out. But that way it would kind of be best of both worlds. So here I'm just putting some washes to help define some of the petals a little bit more. Just some washes of that. What I remember the color I told you would be the main color, the Carmen Rose. So I'm kind of just doing little washes here and there of that color. Now the trick is not to overwork stuff, and that is hard because it's fun to paint, and sometimes you get yourself to the end of the painting and you're like, well, does it need anything else? And you just kind of fuss with it and you mess with it, and then, you know, before you know it, you've kind of overdone it. And I'm very guilty of that. That's probably why the 20-minute timer helps me. Look at that. We're already past 20 minutes. This is going to be a longer one. Not too much longer though. I don't feel like there's much I have to do. So I kind of just like to add these little washes of my main color to just give a little bit of a difference in the petals. Now what I'm going to do is pause it and I'm going to dry it because I feel like I want to go in with some more darks, but I don't want them to all blend out. So we'll be back in a second after I dry this out. Okay, now you know it's dry if you kind of touch it with the back of your hand and it doesn't feel cool anymore. Well, you know, obviously let it cool down if you just used a heat tool on it. Now I want to go in, and since it is dry, I can go in with my pencil, as long as my pencil's not wet from, you know, drawing on the wet paper, and I can sketch in some of the shadows very lightly because these are very soft pencils and they release a lot more pigment than other brands, so just kind of be gentle with it. And I am just going in and going to redefine some areas, add another glaze of color. So the colors are transparent, and when you layer over colors, that's called glazing, and that's what gives it that depth of color, that richness. You know, some watercolors will look kind of watery and washy, and that is fine. But if you want a deeper color, this is how you achieve it. If you want to have, you know, colors that tend to glow a little bit more. And I do want to add a little bit of this. I feel like I kind of lost some of that crisp, cool color, and that was that light magenta. Oh, I don't think I told you what that color was either. Good thing I used it again, because you're like, Lindsay, what the heck are you using there? But you know, I really, manufacturers, there are some like actual color names, pigment names, because it comes from the pigment they use to make it. But not all manufacturers, especially when you're dealing with like a student grade product or a craft grade product, they're not going to list the actual manufacturer name. So I just go by gut. You know, is that a cool purpley pink? Is that a warm brownish pink? You know, look at things and see what the color looks like. I know that sounds really basic, but honestly, that's the best thing you can do, because, you know, after a while, I'll put paint in my palette, and you know, I've emptied out the tube. I don't have the tube anymore, and it's like, well, I'm pretty sure that's crimson. That's alizarin crimson. It looks like alizarin crimson. Might be a different color because it came from a different manufacturer. But as long as it has the properties of the color being like a warm color or a warm red or cool red or a cool green, cool blue, as long as it has the right properties, I can interchange them. So keep that in mind. Now I am going to add a little bit of this, what do we call this? Rose carmine on my tip of my brush, and I'm going to add that to my shadows. And I'm just doing this to give the picture a little definition. You can really push your pigment around. Get some cool definition in there. I feel like I want some veins on that one. I think that I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to add some pigment and water and scratch it. Now something that I can recommend doing if you're not in a hurry to finish your picture is to leave it be. Let your eyes rest, go do something else for a while, especially if you're stuck or you're not sure if it's done, and then come back and look at it with fresh eyes, like you know, it could be the next day, it could be, you know, 20 minutes from now. It will help immensely, because once you get away from it and once you kind of come back and you look at it at a distance, it looks a lot better usually, and your eyes get to kind of have a little bit of a break. You look at it with fresh eyes. I had a instructor. I took toll painting when I was a teenager, and my instructor used to say that the toll fairy visited at night. It was toll painting class, and she would say that that don't be upset with it. Look at it tomorrow, because the toll fairy will come tonight and it'll fix anything that's wrong. And I always thought that was really really cute and encouraging. And I was, a pretty full of myself teenager, so I didn't really need the encouragement, but I was a little cocky brat. But I just thought that was nice because, I was in a class with a lot of ladies that had never painted before, and they were just, they'd get very self-conscious, and but they did make some lovely things. Okay, now I occasionally see my old toll painting teacher around my hometown of China, Maine. There we go. All right, now I'm dying to brush over that center just to see what happens with that color that I put down. And look at that, it is staying. So that's good to know. So remember when we wet that and we painted the light yellow, and then we went in with that darker yellow pencil? Did I tell you the name of that? Dark chrome yellow. And the color did stay. I feel like I just want a little bit more of that. I want to bring it out a little bit more. So that's really, really good to know. Alright, so I think I'm pretty happy with this. It's nothing too fancy, but I think it's lovely for a greeting card. And what I'm going to do is pull off my tape. Now when you do this, you want to kind of pull it at a sharp angle away. You want to make sure your paper's dry where you're doing this too. So if you've just put a really wet wash on it, let it dry before you pull your tape off. This isn't too wet, so I can show you this. Oops. And you probably want to use blue painter's tape if you can. This tape I'm using is from the dollar store, and it's pretty low tack, so I can get away with using it. But I've actually peeled it down and stuck it up a couple times because I messed it up. And I got new tape, so that's probably why I did that. But there you have it, a cute peony painting, very easy to do. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you'd like to have more painting tutorials, you can check out either my watercolor pencil playlist, or my watercolor painting playlist, and find over 100 tutorials, hopefully, that will inspire you to get out your supplies and paint. I want to thank you so much for watching today and stopping by and spending some time of your day, some part of your day with me. That really means the world to me. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already and you want to get alerts of my daily videos. And yeah, thanks so much, and have a great weekend, and as always, happy crafting.